Globalization promised to bring us all closer. It promised prosperity. It promised a brighter future. But the reality has been far more complicated. Globalization, for all its benefits, has created winners and losers. It has widened the gap between the haves and the have-nots. This uneven playing field has fueled discontent across the globe. Workers in developed countries see jobs shipped overseas. Communities crumble as factories close. Meanwhile, in developing nations, exploitation runs rampant. Workers endure low wages and unsafe conditions, all in the name of cheap goods for the global market. Globalization has become a byword for broken promises and shattered dreams. It's no wonder then that people are angry. They feel left behind, ignored by the very systems meant to serve them. And in their anger, they seek someone, anyone, to blame. This, my friends, is where things start to get really interesting. Because into this void of discontent step those who promise simple solutions to complex problems. And their message? Well, it's a familiar one, a return to a glorious past, a time when things were better. The backlash against globalization didn't happen overnight. It simmered for decades, fueled by economic anxieties and social upheaval. The seeds of discontent were sown in the factories and farmlands, in the communities hollowed out by globalization's relentless march. The period between the world wars offers a stark illustration. The Great Depression, a global economic cataclysm, shook the foundations of the international order. Millions lost their jobs, their homes, their sense of security. Fear and desperation gripped nations, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. Nationalist movements, promising to protect their citizens from the vagaries of the global market, gained traction. They offered a sense of belonging, of shared identity, in a world teetering on the brink. The language of us versus them resonated deeply, pitting neighbor against neighbor, citizen against foreigner. This period stands as a stark warning from history. It reminds us that economic hardship, left unchecked, can morph into something far more sinister. It highlights the fragility of democracy itself when faced with widespread discontent and a lack of viable solutions. Henry Ford, the man who put America on wheels, embodies the complex contradictions of globalization. He was a pioneer of mass production, his factories churning out automobiles for the world. Ford envisioned a global market for his products, a world connected by highways and driven by consumer demand. Yet Ford was also a fervent nationalist, a man who saw the world through a distinctly American lens. He harbored deep-seated prejudices, notoriously anti-Semitic views that colored his worldview. Ford's story reminds us that globalization's architects aren't always benevolent actors. They can be driven by a complex mix of ambition, idealism, and prejudice. Ford's legacy is a cautionary tale, a reminder that progress and prejudice can coexist in uncomfortable proximity. It underscores the need to scrutinize the motivations of those who shape our world, to ensure that the benefits of globalization are shared by all, not just a select few. To truly understand the roots of discontent, we need to look beyond economics. We need to examine the enduring power of social hierarchies, the invisible structures that divide us based on birth, background, and belief. This is where the concept of caste comes in. Caste systems, whether explicit or implicit, create rigid social strata. They dictate who holds power, who deserves respect, and who is relegated to the margins. These hierarchies are often perpetuated through cultural norms, religious beliefs, and even legal frameworks. They permeate every aspect of society, shaping opportunities, limiting aspirations, and fueling resentment. Understanding caste helps us grasp the deep-seated nature of inequality. It reveals how prejudice and discrimination become ingrained in the very fabric of society, creating seemingly insurmountable barriers for certain groups. Section 5. Echoes of the past. Discontent in the present. Fast forward to the present day, and the echoes of past discontents are impossible to ignore. Globalization continues to reshape our world at an unprecedented pace, bringing with it both immense opportunities and profound challenges. Technology has connected us in ways unimaginable just a few decades ago, but it has also accelerated the pace of change, leaving many feeling overwhelmed and left behind. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen, fueling a sense of injustice and eroding trust in institutions. Social media, for all its promise of connection, has become a breeding ground for misinformation and polarization, amplifying existing divisions and making reasoned discourse increasingly difficult. The rise of populist leaders peddling simplistic solutions and exploiting anxieties is a testament to the deep-seated discontent that simmers beneath the surface. Their rhetoric, often laced with xenophobia, nationalism, and a disdain for democratic norms, finds a receptive audience among those who feel unheard and unseen. Section 6. The erosion of trust, doubting democracy. Democracy thrives on trust, trust in institutions, trust in leaders, trust in the very idea that our voices matter. Yet across the globe, that trust is eroding. People are losing faith in their elected officials, disillusioned by broken promises and a perceived lack of responsiveness to their needs. This erosion of trust is deeply concerning. When people lose faith in the system, they become more susceptible to the siren song of strongmen who promise easy answers and a return to a mythical golden age. They become more willing to trade their freedoms for the illusion of security and stability. The danger here is a vicious cycle. As trust in democracy wanes, so too does participation in the democratic process. People become disengaged, cynical, and apathetic, creating a void that is all too easily filled by those who seek to exploit it for their own gain. Section 7. The lure of strongmen, a false promise. The allure of the strongman is as old as civilization itself. In times of uncertainty and fear, people crave leadership, someone to tell them that everything will be all right. Strongmen, with their promises of order and decisive action, offer a seductive, albeit illusory, solution. But the strongman's promise of stability comes at a steep price. The erosion of democratic norms, the silencing of dissent, and the consolidation of power in the hands of a select few. History is replete with examples of strongmen who, once in power, dismantle the very institutions that were meant to constrain them. The rise of authoritarianism is a clear and present danger in our world today. From Hungary to India to Brazil, leaders are chipping away at democratic institutions, consolidating power and silencing dissent. Their playbook is eerily familiar: demonize the opposition, stoke fear and division, and erode public trust in democratic norms. Section 8. The fragility of freedom, a call to action. The freedoms we often take for granted are fragile, hard-won, and easily lost. Protecting them requires constant vigilance, a willingness to stand up and defend the values that underpin a just and equitable society. We must resist the allure of simplistic solutions and the politics of division. We must hold our leaders accountable, demanding transparency, integrity, and a genuine commitment to serving the people they represent. We must engage in reasoned discourse, seeking common ground and building bridges across divides. The fight for democracy is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires sustained effort, unwavering commitment, and a belief in the power of collective action. We must never forget that the future of democracy rests not in the hands of our leaders, but in our own. Section 9. Conclusion. Navigating the path forward. The challenges facing democracy are complex and multifaceted. There are no easy answers, no magic bullets to solve the deep-seated discontents that plague our world. But understanding the root causes of these discontents, the economic anxieties, the social hierarchies, the erosion of trust, is an essential first step. We must resist the temptation to retreat into our echo chambers, to demonize those who hold different views, or to succumb to apathy and despair. The path forward requires courage, compassion, and a willingness to engage in the messy, often frustrating work of building a more just and equitable world for all. The stakes could not be higher. The future of democracy, and indeed the future of our planet, may very well depend on it.